If you are having trouble in any one of these areas, it's going to cause a breakdown in the relationship that eventually will cause a break up. Hey, Sacred Queens. Welcome back to another episode of Sacred Queen TV. Today, we're going to be talking about love, or what happens when love doesn't work. I'm going to be sharing with you the 4 B's of breakups. These are really the 4 primary problem areas that exist in your life and in your relationships. If you are having trouble in any one of these areas, it's going to cause a breakdown in the relationship that eventually will cause a break up, okay? So let's start with the 4B of breakups, boundaries. So many people struggle with boundaries, and it really comes from a lack of personal awareness. When you don't know what your threshold is, what your limits are, what feels good to you and what doesn't, you'll have a hard time creating boundaries that actually work. But it's important for you to recognize that boundaries are really a beautiful thing. They're so empowering. Once you know what you will allow, who you will allow, and how much you will allow, it creates a space for you to communicate better to your partners and for you to be so much more clear in getting to know partners, friends, coworkers, and anyone that you're in connection with, right? But if there is an issue with your boundaries, it is going to lead to a breakdown in the relationship, and eventually it's going to lead to a breakup. And you want to be able to avoid things in this area by simply taking the time to self-reflect, to ask yourself what feels good to you and what doesn't. And when you come to a space, when you're in a relationship and something doesn't feel good to you, communicate that to your partner, okay? The second B is bonding. That has to do with how you connect with other people, how you are in partnership with other people, and also how you partner with yourself. So if you have an attachment style that is toxic, or that comes from a place of trauma, or that is codependent, it's going to create an issue from the very start. So you want to make sure that you are connecting with folks in a healthy way, that you're not looking to be partnered with someone so that they can fill a void within you or make you feel something that you believe you're lacking now. You always want to come together in partnership from a perspective of love, from a perspective of connection, and from a perspective of growth. How can the two of us come together and build something? How can we create a foundation that's going to be better once we're both on it, okay? The third B is your behavior. Because sometimes you don't act right, and you know you don't act right. And you need to take the time to really think about how you show up in love, how you show up in relationships, how you show up in partnerships, and how you show up in the world. Because unpopular opinion, you are responsible for what you attract, even if you don't entertain it. Some of y'all might have a problem with that. That's personal. Take it up with your mama, not me. So when you are connecting with folks, it's about who comes into the space first. So you're not just responsible for what you entertain, but you're also responsible for what you attract, right? You have a special something. That's how you show up in the world. Your energy, that uniqueness that's about you, that je ne sais quoi, that only you bring into the space. You are showing up, you are creating a foundation where others are looking at it and saying, I either want to be a part of it or I don't want to be a part of it. So behavior is extremely important when it comes to partnership, when it comes to relationships. If you are constantly dealing with conflict or struggle or strain in your friendships, familial relationships, employee relationships, or personal relationships, you want to take a look at your own behavior, right? We're all about personal accountability and personal responsibility here. So if you see that something is happening with you and your behavior that's creating results that you don't want, you get to change that. The fourth B is becoming. That's about who you're growing into, who your bonding, boundaries, and behavior is moving you to meet as your future self. Sometimes you can be growing in a great direction, but your partner just may not be aligned with you. And that can also lead to a breakup. You want to make sure that you have an idea of who you're becoming or who you want to become so that you're moving in that direction. So you're setting boundaries leading to that, so that you're bonding with folks who are going to help you reach that place or who are aligned, and so that your behavior matches up. Because whoever it is that you're becoming, who's going to be the future you, requires you to do some things in the now. And so make sure that you are aware of who you want to become so that you're not just kind of going with the flow, aimlessly wandering through life, because eventually you'll end up somewhere that you may not want to be. And if you're not happy with yourself, you won't be able to be happy with a partner, and you probably won't find a partner who will be happy with you. So it's important that you check these 4 areas if you want to have a healthy foundation for healthy, long-lasting relationships. That's your boundaries, your bonding, your behavior, and your becoming. If you're having problems in your relationships, those are one of the 4 primary areas that you want to check in with first. I'd love to hear more from you. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Make sure that you subscribe, and I'll see you next week on the next episode.